Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 5th episode of Theory and Tea Time with Fern. Today is modal interchange. Just going to be a snippet because we've only talked about 2 modes, but the idea is, if you know, to join us, but it's nice to see people with us already. Play a little modal interchange progression that I just wrote like a second ago. All right. Nice. Jillian giving us the notes already. That's good. Very, very nice. Yeah, so modal interchange is going to give us extra chords to play with. We went over the chords in our major scale, which was 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, and 7 diminished. And we went over our chords in the minor mode, which is Aeolian. And those chords were 1 minor, 2 diminished, flat 3 major, 4 minor, 5 minor, flat 6 major, flat 7, and 1. Good. Jillian, just keep on writing all the notes for me. That sounds great. Thank you for putting the major chords in. If you can give us the diatonic minor chords, we'll be able to get rolling. Ionian chords. I started on the 1 major, and then I went to 2 diminished, which is an Aeolian chord, and then I went to 4 minor, which is another Aeolian chord, and then I went back to 1 major, which was Ionian, 6 minor, Ionian, flat 6, Aeolian, 5 is Ionian, flat 7 is Aeolian, and back to 1. So that's a lot of jumping around. Ionian, Aeolian, Aeolian, Ionian, Ionian, Aeolian, Ionian, Aeolian, Ionian. I'm going to do that again, but I will say major and minor instead. So if it's coming from the major mode or the minor mode. Major mode, minor, minor, major, major mode, minor mode, major mode, minor mode, major mode. So it's a lot of jumping around. But let's get into it a little bit. Let's see what we have in the chat. Thank you, Jillian, for all these awesome notes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so today I just want to be focusing on Aeolian and Ionian, and we'll jump back and forth. Can somebody write out all the chords in C major? Let's stay in C major. Write out all the chords and ignore my typos in C major. We should know this by now. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. All the chords in C major. Somebody, I'll give you guys a minute. If not, I'll do it. All right, I'll do it real quick. It's C major, B minor, E minor. Oh, cool. Yeah, okay, so Jillian just gave you guys all the modes, which is awesome. We're going to be focusing just on 2 of them. Ionian, which is the 1st degree, and Aeolian, which is the 6th degree. Modal interchange does go between all 7 of those modes once you fully understand it, but I don't want to overcomplicate things right now. And I want to just stay between these 2 modes, and maybe next week or whenever we decide to do this again, we can go deeper into the modes. But all the major chords are C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. So those are all our chords if we stick in C Ionian. The idea with modal interchange is now we can borrow from the Aeolian chords. Yes, thank you, Julian. The Aeolian chords in the key of C are C minor, B diminished, E flat major, F minor, G minor, A flat major, and B flat major. So now what we can do is we can jump between those two different chord lists. If we just have a typical 1-4-5 progression, well, normally 1, 4, and 5 would be C, F, and G. One major, 4 major, went 5 minor to 5 major, and 1 major. Now, what we can do is, now we can take from the Aeolian and we can change any of those chord functions. Let's just change the second one, see what it sounds like if we go C major, F minor, and then G major. Now we're using our second chord as modal interchange. We're taking the 4 minor chord from the Aeolian scale and throwing it in to our major Ionian progression. So here's 1, 4 minor, 5. One more time. 1, 4 minor, 5, and 1. So right off the bat, you can hear the changes the tone so much. Instead of getting F major, you get this like really beautifully sad F minor chord. And 4 minor, that is like the chord of our generation. I say that a lot. It's just 4 minor is a beautifully used chord. I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of them in a bit. I'm now going to play C major, F major, and then G minor. So 1, 4, and 5 minor now, which the 5 minor is now the chord being taken from modal interchange. See, that doesn't really sound as good to me. I would swap that progression. I would do it as 1, 5 minor, 4 major, C, G minor, F. I just think that is a more commonly used progression if we just did that a little backwards. And that'll sound like this. And that just feels like, I don't know, more musical to me. 1 major, 5 minor, 4 major, 1. Oh, so that is just a nice little, 2 little examples of how to, right off the bat, change it. So we're used to using 1 major, 4 major, and 5 major, and now we're switching things up and making the 4 minor and the 5 minor. Does anybody out there want to take a stab at writing a chord progression that includes at least 1 modal interchange chord? I'll give you guys like a minute to maybe think of one, and we can analyze it. And if not, I'll just make one up. So I'll give you guys a second. If anybody would like to post a little modal interchange chord, you can give us the Roman numerals, or you can give us it all in the key of C. But we're going to be sticking in C for a little bit today. Maybe we'll do one other key later. give another 20 seconds if somebody wants to come up with their own modal interchange chord progression. Yeah, C, G minor, F, that is a very heavy Mixolydian mode progression. Yeah. We'll get into Mixolydian sometime in the future. But Mixolydian is kind of a mode where it's mainly major, except the last note, instead of being taken from the Ionian scale, it is taken from the Aeolian scale. So you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. That's Mixolydian. I don't want to go too into that right now. All right, I'm going to make up our own little progression. I'm going to start on 1, and then I'm going to go to flat 3, and then I'm going to go to 4 major, and then I'll go to 5. 1, flat 3, 4 major, and 5. Who out there knows in the key of C what 1, flat 3, 4, and 5 is? I'll give you guys a minute. If not, I'll just write the answer myself. So I guess I'll just write it out. That is C major, E flat major. Notice we're breaking our major key. F major, and then G major. All of these are major chords. And that sounds like 1, flat 3, 4, 5. Do it one more time. 1, flat 3, 4, and 5. All right, I'm not super crazy about that, but the flat 3 is a nice chord to go to, and then you can go elsewhere with it. All right, anybody else want to try their own progression? If not, I'll write another one, but I want to just we can come together, do like 4 or 5 progressions, maybe work in one other key, and that'll be the lesson for today. Do any of the people at home have their own progression they want to throw at us? It's okay if it's bad. I like bad music. That's what I write normally. By order the scale degrees by ascending fifths. Cool. Yeah, Jillian, I like your note of Ionian having the major chords on all the primary degrees and Aeolian having the minor chords on all of them. That's a really good thing to remember. So the major scale, the Ionian mode, 1, 4, and 5 are going to be all major. In Aeolian, 1, 4, and 5 are all minor. That's a really good trick to remember. Yeah, I'm sticking with these 2 right now just to make things a little easier, and it'll give us more topics to go on if we ever want to do another week of theory. I'm thinking the next one we'll do is just more modes, or we can get into what makes up a major chord, what makes up a minor chord. But for right now, if anybody out there that's watching this live, if you want to write your own little progression, cool. If not, I'm going to do my own little progression for you. All right, a really fun progression, which just gets used a lot, is 1 major, 4, and then 4 minor. That's a very simple progression. 1 major, 4 major, and 4 minor. Okay, well, Jillian has her own. Let's do this. All right, We'll talk about both of these. We'll do mine first because I typed it first, and then Jillian's. 1 major, 4 major, and 4 minor. Really listen to how going between F major and F minor sounds like. Here's 1 major, 4, 4 minor, and then back. We'll do that one more time. All right, now Jillian here has 1, 5, flat, 7, 4 minor. Oh, that's cool. C, G, flat 7 would be B flat major, and 4 minor would be F minor. So we have 2 Ionian chords next to each other, and then 2 Aeolian chords next to each other. It's interesting. I'm going to like this. Here comes 5. Here's flat 7. And here's 4 minor. To me, I don't know, Jillian, what do you think? That 4 minor really jumps out as a big left turn. I really want to hear that chord as F major instead of F minor. Let's see what that sounds like. I feel like my ear is pushing us for that. Let's see if we did flat 7 and then 4 major, which is C, G, B flat, and F. Now, I'm just changing one thing because we're using theory to get our, fun little progression, but then use your ear afterwards to create music. And for me, I just want to really hear that last chord as F major. Yes, 1, 5, flat 7, 4. This is a very common progression, which is why my ear is pulling towards it, because my ear has heard it before. Yeah, but the F minor chord, Jillian, you're so right. The 4 minor is a very melancholy chord. Like every time you hear it, it's just that like gut-wrenching part of the song. A couple examples. If you go to "In My Life" by the Beatles, one of my favorite songs. Whenever it hits the chorus of "In My Life," that whole part, it's 4 to 4 minor. It's just beautiful. The places I remember. Here's 4 all my life. 4 to 4 minor. Though some have changed. I'll do it one more time. So you get a D major and a D minor right next to each other, which is 4 major, going to 4 minor, a very melancholy feeling. Another song that does that is Creep by Radiohead. Coulda looked you in the eye. Here comes 4. And now here's 4 minor. There's so many examples. I'll follow you into the dark. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. Then I'll follow you into the dark. And they hit you right on that like tagline. I'll follow you into the dark. 4 major, 4 minor, 1. And it's a very, very powerful thing, and very, very powerful thing in music. One more example, and then I'll stop giving you 4-4 minor examples. Pretty sure there's a 4-4 minor in "Wake Me Up When September Ends," and it's on the tag again. That's interesting. It goes, "Wake me up when September ends," and you get that 4 major. Wake me up, 4 minor. When September ends. So it's a big thing that happens a lot in music, and there's so many more examples. Let's see what's going on in the chat. You make me feel. Yeah, Jilly and I are on 2 different progressions, but they're both common. They're both very common. And flat 7 is just a very big chord. Just like 5 minor, which we said before, flat 7 also can be referred to as a Mixolydian chord. But we can get into that in a future time. Yeah, that 1 to 4 minor is the most melancholy chord progression ever. But I also like the 1, 5, flat 7, 4. Let's see, can anybody write out 1, 5, flat 7, 4 in a different key? Maybe in the key of G. We'll give it a second for anyone watching home or anyone in the future. I'll give it a minute. But 1, 5, flat 7, and 4. Who can write that out in the key of G? What is 1, 5 major, flat 7, and 4 in the key of G? I'll give you a minute. Thirty more seconds. Anybody out there? Do you have 1, 5, flat 7, 4 in the key of G? Okay, so I'll write it out. It's okay. This is kind of scary stuff. G, D, F major, and then C. Yeah, Julian, I'd like you to write the next one out if possible. So this is what 1, 5, flat 7, 4 is in the key of G. Let's figure it out in the key of D. Now remember, key of D is 2 sharps. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and that's the key of D. Jillian, can you write out that progression in the key of D? No pressure. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. But also, you should totally try it. Just give it a shot. What 1, 5, flat 7, 4 is. All right, Julian, let's see if you can do it. Another really cool thing that I noticed about this progression, Jillian, just like 1, 4, 4 minor. See, the thing that sounds really nice with going between 4 and 4 minor is you get that half step drop. So like when you're, let's say we're in the key of C, D, A, C, and G. Yo, Julian, great job. That's 100% correct. Very good. And they're all major chords. All those are major chords. Now, a cool thing that I noticed, let's talk about this in the key of D, I guess, since we're in D right now. If we go 4 to 4 minor, you get this great feeling of A sharp going down to A natural, which because those are the 2 notes that are being changed in the chord. I'm pretty sure, Jillian, you can follow me here, but, oh, whatever. I said it backwards. So we're in the key of D. G is your 4, and then 4 minor is G minor. You get that really good B to B flat feeling. You get that cool half step. Na, 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 na. You also get a cool half step feeling from this other progression, the 1, 5, flat 7, 4 progression, 1, 5, flat 7, 4, you get a nice C sharp to C natural going on between the third degree of the A and the first degree of the C. So that's kind of confusing. I just really like when you get those half steps in music, especially some that break key, and that A major to C has a very nice half step in there. Has a good feeling to it. All right, let's try another progression. Julian, if you're out there, can you give us a progression that has one modal interchange chord in it at least? If you're out there, give us one modal interchange chord, please. Chord progression. And if not, I'll write it out. But I like us communicating together. Let's see. Anybody out there can write their own modal interchange progression. And remember, you can give me the chords or you can give me the Roman numerals. Doesn't matter. Whatever one you want to do. Looking like I got about 10 more sips of this tea, so that's as long as we'll go for the rest of this lesson. That's one sip. Anybody in the chat? And it's okay if you get it wrong. It's best to try. It's the best way to learn is just trying. Okay, cool. So, right now, Julian, when you said 7, what do you want to do with 7? Because currently we haven't gone over what a 7 major chord looks like. So did you mean flat 7? Because flat 7 is a chord that we've talked about. I think that's what you meant. Okay, cool. So 1, flat 7, 4, and then 5. Cool. This is a little similar to the last progression we worked on, but that's nice. This is good. All right, let's figure this out in the key of F major, which is 1 flat. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E. So can somebody out there tell me what 1, flat 7, 4, 5 is in the key of F? 1, flat 7, 4, 5. So what is that chord progression? Very close. Very said flat 7 and not flat 6, right? Yeah, okay. So what you just did was 1, flat 6. 4 and 5. That's what you just did. So figure out what 1, flat 7, 4, 5 is. And yeah, Jillian, this is a really good rock progression. Yeah, it feels cool. I like that. Now, just so we can hear it, I'm going to play what Julian just wrote, which was 1, flat 6, 4, and 5. 1, flat 6, 4, 5 would be this. sounds cool. Flat 6 feels, I love flat 6. It's a great chord. But what you should have wrote was F, E flat, B flat, and C. E flat is the flat 7 in this key. But that was a really good progression. Do you see how, like, it's not that hard, and they all sound kind of nice when you put them together? Let's do 2 more, guys. Let's do 2 more together. Actually, no. We're going to do 3 more. Everyone's going to write their own progression, including me. So let's all take a second and think of one. So Jillian, Julian, and myself. And there is another person watching. I don't know who you are. But if you want to create your own progression too, you can. Yeah, that flat 6 is very ominous. It's a very creepy chord. Yeah, it's cool. All right, so let's all, everyone, write one more modal interchange. Heart-shaped box. Oh, Nirvana, right? Yeah. I'm not familiar with the progression right off the top of my head, though. Okay, my progression is going to be... Oh, maybe I'll go the other way. Okay, so same thing with flat 3 and 2, Julian. Right now you're calling 3 major and 2 major at 6, 3. I just want to know what you mean there. Stable. 3 minor and 2 minor. 3 minor and 2 minor, not 3 major. Get A flat, great chord. Flat. E. That's crazy. It's cool. That's cool. I like the flat 6 to 3 minor. That's very, like, ooh, creepy. Very creepy. All right. 1, flat 3, 2, 7, 5, 7. Okay, so 2, 7 is a chord we haven't gone over yet, but that comes from the Lydian mode, which we'll get into one day. But that would be C, E flat, 7 to D7, or you can consider that a secondary dominant going to G, actually. Your D7, actually, I would consider that as 5 of 5 going to G7 because it's acting as a secondary dominant. So 1, flat 3, 5 of 5. You can go 5, 7 of 5. Go into that. And then 5, 7. That's what I would call it, Julian. Sorry, Jillian. Yeah, but that's cool. Let's hear that. That's cool. Oh my God, that's Jillian. That's really cool because if you go one step further and you turn that E flat into an E flat 7, now it's not a flat 3 chord. For me, that is sub 5 of 2. Sub 5 is something called tritone substitution, which is much farther in advance, which I don't want to go into right now. But that progression, I would call that E flat the sub 5 of 2 because you're using tritone substitution to give us that. I don't want to get into it now. It's just going to confuse a lot of people. Yeah, okay, so what you just said was 1, flat 3, so C, E flat, and then D minor, that would be cool, and then G, which gives us a 2-5-1 kind of feel. That's cool too. I like that also. I like it. And that E flat, really, you can think of it as that sub 5 of 2, which is interesting. If we do a bunch of theory lessons, we'll eventually get into tritone substitution. Yes. Yeah, you and I both digress. Jillian, this has been a lot of fun just talking theory with you. It's been really great. And Julian, it's been awesome having you in the chat also. Please ask us questions if you have them. I want to come up with one more progression unless somebody else has another one. And then that'll be it on modal interchange for today. This is, like I said before, just a snippet of modal interchange. We're only working with 2 modes, really. There's 7 modes. We'll go into those other modes sometime in the future. All right, I want to do one starting on 1 minor because we haven't done that yet. So we can start on like a 1 minor chord and then go to like a 4 major. Hey, I'll go 1, 4 major, flat 6, then I'll go 5 major, which I don't ever consider 5 major a modal interchange in a minor key, but we can still approach it like that. All right, so we got a chord from the Aeolian scale. Now here's 4. Here's flat 6. Here's 5. Oh, me and more? Nah, it's close. I played a similar. That's a different progression. That's a whole other progression. But I just made that one up. But it was fun. It had that. Whenever you're in a minor key, ending on the 5 major is just always going to be strong. It's always going to push you back to that 1 chord. But you don't obviously have to do that. All right. That feels like a good place to me. We kind of dove into going between Ionian and Aeolian. Remember, your Ionian chords: 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished. Your Aeolian chords: 1 minor, 2 diminished, flat 3 major, 4 minor, 5 minor, flat 6 major, flat 7 major. So we're just jumping between those chords. We came up with a bunch of progressions, a lot of nice ones. I'll give it another minute or two. If anyone else wants to come up with their own progression, you can throw it in the chat. If not, I'm going to talk to the crew. The crew is Jillian and Julian, and we'll see if we want to do anything for next week, maybe change it up. But this was a lot of fun, guys. This is our 5th episode. Did this 5 days in a row. Episodes were much longer than I thought they would be, but that's okay. If you're watching afterwards, I'm sorry. There's a lot of bullshit you got to go through. But make sure to request access to the Google Doc. I'm going to be editing that and clearing it up. It's a little all over the place right now. But everything that we're talking about, there's so many free resources out there. There's so many YouTube videos, so many places where you can read up on this stuff. This is not like some secret that we're holding on to. This has been talked about a lot, and the information is all over the place. So you can find it if you want it. Great. Thank you guys for hanging. Like I said, I'll give it 1 more minute. If anybody wants to ask a question, that's chill. Here comes 4 minor. Anything not derivable from Aeolian or Ionian is of Lydian, Phrygian, and Locrian, and thus what I like to call hyper major and hyper minor. Yeah, well, that's something else. I haven't really learned about hyper major or hyper minor yet, but that sounds really cool. That's. I wanna know. Have you ever seen the rain? Have you ever seen the rain coming down on a day? Yeah, that's all straight diatonic playing right there. 4, 5, 1, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 1, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 1. I would love just to do some straight analyzing. Thanks, Mom, for asking. Great. All right, well, that's a great place to end. Goodbye.